Before getting completely into this video, I just want to say from the get-go, this is not a doom and gloom end of the world video. So if you're going to be upset, don't leave your dislikes, listen to it. And if you're somebody who thinks it's the end of the world for NASCAR, get a grip and listen to what I'm going to say. The NASCAR ratings for this past week's Daytona 500 came out, and they were not good. I don't care what anyone else says, a decrease is not good. There were 8.181 million viewers, which is 8% down from the 8.868 million viewers in 2022, which means this race lost about 700,000 of its total viewership from last year. Not good, but still, 8 million viewers for a NASCAR race nowadays is a huge number, shouldn't be overlooked, but still is down. Now, many will show that the share was up, basically meaning that less people were watching TV. And I will also say to that, this stat is never used when we talk about ratings being flat or going up, only when it's in the negative. I want to make people understand here that there is a lot of framing going on here, and when industry people start rounding the wagon, you need to start asking a few questions with it. And the question I have to ask with it is, why were less people watching? Why did we get less viewership with those less people watching? And what does this mean long term? And that's what I want to get into with this video. So the key demo for this race was 22%. Another stat dump for you, but that means that only 22% or less than 2 million of the 8 million viewers were between 18 and 49 years old, which is about in line with every other NASCAR race, but not sustainable. But when you look at the share, when you look at those watching, it means that most of this audience, a large majority, was older. Those older people are the ones who still have TVs and are still watching normal TV, which also, you would think, when it comes to the interest in NASCAR, not from the diehard source, but the outside source, it means that many people would rather just not watch TV that past Sunday than actually tune in to NASCAR's biggest race. And with no real competitors against them this year, NASCAR really didn't have an excuse, in my opinion, to be down this much, which, again, raises some alarm bells. But at the same time, the duels and qualifying and the Xfinity race were all up in viewership. This is great because it means that the core base, the same core base that helped NASCAR go up in ratings last year, is starting to grow even more. Because on top of those ratings going up, the attendance for this past weekend and racing in general at Daytona, when you look at the 24-hour race, has been up a ton as well. Racing fans are excited in America. It is something that is not hard to miss. Whether it be the jump up in Formula One or the grassroots growth, or now what we're seeing in the lower series of NASCAR, racing fans are tuning in. Now it's about getting that atmosphere out to more of the mainstream casual audience. Take this away as a positive, because also with the attendance being way up and the ratings overall being stable, it means that NASCAR is getting up off that base point and could be primed to grow if they do things right. This added into the rating stability from 2018 to 2022 means that NASCAR also can easily recover through the rest of this season. It is definitely within the range of viewership for race 2 that if Auto Club doesn't get rained out, it could very well have an increase over 2022. Every given year, about 40 to 50% of the audience drops off in the Daytona 500 in recent seasons that there haven't been a rain out from one race to another. And that is where Auto Club could fit in with having either flat or a gain. Now, what does this mean for the short term? And the short term looking back as well? Well, from 2018 onwards, NASCAR, like I said, has been stable, but the Daytona 500 has been down 12%, from 9.3 million viewers in 2018 to the nearly 8.2 million this past year. It also has 2 rain-plagued races that, in my opinion, have hurt the Daytona 500 overall and have scared away some of that casual base. When you take away an event basically for most of the country for 2 years and you add a pandemic to all that, you're going to start seeing people who just forget to tune in, who used to watch it and don't remember when it is, or don't even remember when to look to see when it is. And with 2020 being rained out after only 20 laps, media coverage, whether it be for before the race for the president being there or after the race for Ryan Newman, and then in 2021, a huge rain delay that has the race ending early on a Monday morning being the least watched Daytona 500 ever, those are going to hurt NASCAR in the long run with the Daytona 500 and especially in the short run. And it's going to take a long time of good luck, good racing, and good calls for NASCAR to build that up. Again, while we diehards will watch all in this period of time, the major bite out of the cultural force that NASCAR has in the mainstream is where you're seeing the issue. And you also had to add in that most of the big name drivers like Junior, Stewart, and Gordon, and then later on Jimmy Johnson, they all retired, taking out even more of NASCAR's punch. Not saying that it is an excuse, more a reason for why the Daytona 500 and NASCAR overall has seemed to have a bit of a whimper when it comes to getting a more casual audience to jump on. Now, in the long term before 2020, the Daytona 500 had never dipped below 9 million viewers ever in the first 41 years of broadcasting it flag to flag on national television. And between 1986 and 2013, the race had 27 straight years above 10 million viewers. The early days of the 70s, 80s, and 90s, though, can be explained by having less options on TV. With less channels and more people watching, well, they're going to have the Daytona 500 on more of them, even if it's just on in the background. And then when NASCAR's overall ratings picked up for the Daytona 500 in 1996 and started to trend up, it pretty much matched NASCAR's ascension into the mainstream, where it became the number 2 most watched sport in America. And it matches it all the way through the fall from its fad status at that time to 2017 or so. So overall, what are my thoughts on all this? Well, to start off with, I think NASCAR's core base is at a minimum stopping the erosion, and probably is honestly growing, even if it is at a slow pace. Outside of the rain-delayed truck race, all the Speedweek's events were double-digit increases and at pre-COVID highs. There is clear interest in racing that is growing among hardcore racing fans, like I said before. But is there a ratings problem? In my opinion, at the moment, yes. Being down in viewership is still being down, and no amount of mental gymnastics is going to change the raw numbers. 8.2 is less than 8.9. It's just simple math. The issue isn't bringing back the normal fans, though. Normal fans are there and showing full support. The issue is trying to make the Daytona 500 and NASCAR culturally relevant, and finding a way to make the Daytona 500 especially pushed out so that the mainstream can see it more is one of the most imperative needs for NASCAR to regain its popularity, because it sets the tone for the season, sets storylines, and also lower numbers being seen by advertisers and TV networks in negotiation periods for the next season or the next 10 seasons of the new TV deal will not make the Daytona 500 and NASCAR as a whole especially enticing. So it's not the end of the world, but it's not something worth looking past or putting your head in the sand and saying, well, an 8% loss is basically flat nowadays. But with that, I want to pass it on to you and ask, what do you think about this? Let me know down in the comments below, and let me know tonight on the NASCAR Weekly Podcast on Darian Gilliam, aka Black Flags Matters channel. But while you're at it right now, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to the channel for more great NASCAR content. Thank you so much to all my channel members for your continued support, and until next time, have a good one.